Hopi prophecy. I'm not actually going to go into some of the more esoteric portions about the Hopi prophecies, the native prophecies. I'm going to do more of an exoteric thing. All right? Just going to list off some of the stuff that I have. Well, we're at a crossroads, obviously. The world and such isn't really that sustainable anymore. And this is not new news. And what I mean by that, when it comes to the Hopi prophecies, or Hopi tribe, which is a tribe of Native Americans that has lived a very long time at four corners of Arizona, Utah, New Mexico, and Colorado, kind of that area. Actually, one of the only, very few, if only one of the two tribes that refused government support, never signed a treaty, and therefore is pretty much, along with I think only one more, maybe the Zuni tribe, pretty sovereign, because they didn't negotiate. They said nope. Anyhow, that being said, they live in that area. A lot of it is in coal-rich Black Mesa, northern Arizona, lots of parts of Arizona, but four corners: Arizona, Utah, Colorado, and New Mexico. Been around for a very, very long time. Who really knows actually when? But there's petroglyphs, and some of the petroglyphs refer to what I mean by prophecy. Elders have been able to translate these petroglyphs. I'll just show you a little bit of my notes. It looks something like this. I drew it. Let's see. I don't know. That's not a good representation. But these petroglyphs are, probably. I'm not gonna say what they are, but it could be 10,000 more years old or less. It doesn't matter. It's old shit. And they prophesied. The petroglyphs themselves, which are little carved drawings into rock, have prophesied, and this comes out of the mouth of the elders, things that have and will occur. A lot of them already have occurred. And like I said, I don't want to go into the more esoteric parts. I want to go more into the exoteric, which means kind of the stuff that's, so to speak, more scientific right now. Or not scientific, but research-based rather than going into the mystical, even though the mystical is what I prefer to go into. But we'll do that next video. But pretty much the elders have talked a lot about these petroglyphs and the prophecies of the different ways of the coming and possible destruction or redemption of our, I don't want to say Earth, because the Earth can't be destroyed, I don't think. At least not for a while. But our civilizations, most of them. And I think the reason why this has been able to be carved and prophesized is because it's happened before. Long time ago, in a similar fashion. That's my projection. But it talks about the misuse of technology. I mean, everything that is really just kind of obvious as we're in this really intense period of time that we're in right now. But misuse of technology, and obviously the almost abandonment of understanding of nature and our effect on it. Our, meaning many different cultures, but this modern neglect of the natural process of things. I mean, to me, that seems pretty logical. But they talk about it, and it does come from this incredible place at this crossroads of, southwestern United States, where there is old carvings that have talked about this, like I said, from possibly up to before or even beyond 10,000 years ago. Great old ancient seers who observed patterns and somehow understood this. And what is so interesting about this to me is that that where we are at right now, and by where we are at right now, what I mean is this placement in time that we're sharing. You're looking at me at the video. We're sharing this time together in some ways, so to speak. We're alive right now. It's September. It's November 9th, I believe. 4 p.m. on the West Coast. 2021. Okay. We're maybe here at the same time together. This is a really interesting piece of time because it really, according to the petroglyphs, is it's a crucial, intense time that's obviously speaking to everything that's happening. It's really, the petroglyphs really have pointed out, like, this is what's going to happen. Well, it's happening. But this is an interesting time for all of us here because this is a time where we can make some choices. And because the petroglyph, again, I'll try and show you a second drawing, stupid drawing I did. But let's see. All right. It has a crossroads. It has two different ways to go. It's already spelling out what has happened, what's pretty much happening, and what could happen. So, like I said, we're at a crossroads, it feels like, according to the petroglyphs and to my personal soul and feeling, where we can make a choice. What we support, what we acknowledge, what we acknowledge as truly right or wrong, especially with thoughts of, always being in the present, but thoughts of the future, the future of, and even if you don't want to talk about it as in future, but the present, like how are we treating the water? How are we treating the earth? How are we treating each other? What are we accepting? What are we not accepting? What are we standing up for? All that kind of stuff. And the predictions here on the chart, there's one that goes up and into pretty much a destructive place. And there's one where there's a little fellow standing by some corn plants, which to me spells out, meaning getting back down to the basics of understanding how to live with the earth. We're on the earth, regardless of how wonderful technology and our phones. This is wonderful that I can talk like this to anybody, that I could do this. This is important. But it could be really misused, and it is being misused. Even I misuse my technology, and but when it really comes down to it, save your seeds. What do you need? food, right? Water, clean water. And the Hopi prophecies really speak to the fact that if at this crossroads there isn't enough conscious beings who are in positions of power, which unfortunately are a lot of people who misuse power, are the ones who are in positions of power. But anybody who can be in a position of power could change the trajectory. By awakening to the fact that technology is wonderful and it's a beautiful invention and things like that, but the misuse of it is, and not just technology, but the misuse of how we use our technology in accordance to the earth, how we use the earth with our advanced systems. If we don't stand up in some ways for the earth, here's the crossroads. We can think right now and say, you know what, I'm going to do something different. I'm in a position of power. Let's say, take me for example. I am a white female, and whatever, that's what I am, and I have some fortunate aspects of being that. I have leverage in some areas, and I feel that it is my responsibility at this point to help the trajectory towards a more peaceable, beautiful world. Because I can say, and I can do, and I can, some people, some cultures, they can't. And that is a travesty. And that's what needs to be changed. But it has to be helped and changed by human beings who certainly have more power than others to change the trajectory. Otherwise, if we don't take that responsibility, the trajectory will be into what the Hopi prophesy as a destruction that comes outside of ourselves as human beings. It will come from nature in the form of a lot of, we've talked about the Emerald Tablets before, and the forces of nature, the lords of the cycles, the earthquakes, fires, and floods, and just mass. I mean, it's already perpetuated by us, but nature will be able to destroy human beings. And a lot of us, the human beings who possibly have survived something quite like unto this, are quite possibly many of the very indigenous native peoples who have left stories and petroglyphs and can be thought of as prophecies of the future because cycles happen. But yes, it's important for us to make a decision right now, what is important. If it's not that important to you, right on, dude. Go on. But if it is important to you to be a steward of the earth and remember to get back to nature, that the most important things are not oftentimes the way that we're living. And there's ways to change the way that we live, to help balance the earth again. And the more conscious that we become of that in numbers, and it's peaceable. It's not like anybody's telling you like religiously to do something. It's like, remember that really what you need is just clean drinking water, some amount of food that hopefully is harvested in a way that is respectful, and and a community of connected people. Hope that can be. The Hopi Indians are wonderful, and I will do another video about more of the esoteric parts. I wish I would have touched down on some more stuff. I do have actually a lot of information, but I think that's good enough for today. And as always, guys, much love.